Hello and welcome to In the North Bank. We're going to look into the preview of Aston Villa tonight, massive game, and then we'll touch into the Mikel Arteta's press conference and the transfer window opens on Thursday. For the show, my brother, it has been such a long time, Statman Rich, and you're well behaved today, which is good to see. You've not got any dodgy t-shirts on.
No dodgy t-shirts, just a normal Arsenal shirt, and but I'm on my best behaviour today. How are you, Mark? You doing good?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. I'm good. It just seems like it's podcast after podcast at the minute, which is fantastic. And you're on a marathon today, Richard. Before we go any further, you're on a marathon because you're like. And straight after this podcast, you're going to have a slight break, and then you've got a watch along at 8 o'clock tonight.
Yes, definitely. Me and Des do a watch along from 8 o'clock to about nearly 11 o'clock. I imagine by the time you get through all the bits after the show before we close it down.
Yeah. So guys, do stay tuned for that. Click. I have to do housework, Richard, or I will get into trouble. You know what Des and Paul are like. You know what these two are like. So please, guys, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. There is content flying out this channel, and there's going to be some great surprises come January. Absolutely amazing surprises coming in January with content. More people are getting involved, and it is like just absolutely flying out. We've got the two old Gooners, which Des and Richard, that are doing amazing content at the moment, Richard.
Thank you.
And I believe that I don't know if I could be called an old Gooner. I always like to think that I'm young, but I think I'm going to be coming on one for the Scottish players.
Yes, Scottish Premier League players we decided on, wasn't it? We weren't going to do Scottish Arsenal players, but you weren't 100% sure if we'd have too many different. So we're going for Scottish Premier League players, which is fine because that's there'll be at least one Arsenal player in there.
No, absolutely. Well, of course, Kieran Tierney would always be one of them. So, yeah, you're absolutely right, Richard. So, we've got that to look forward to. As we said, the guys are doing like a madness at the moment. They're like the two old Gunners. That's flying out a couple of times a week. We've got the watch along, which is practically every match day. Des and Richard are on for like nearly 2 to 3 hours. So, that's on. The big Sunday quiz, which will take place after the holidays every Sunday, I would imagine. We've done the Christmas one last night. Not by default. I finished 5th out of 10 people. I'm delighted with that. It doesn't matter if there was a technical issue and people couldn't get in and there was 5 people without any score. I finished 5th. I didn't finish bottom. I finished 5th out of 10. No,
by default you were 5th. 5th out of 10.
5th out of 10, so I'm taking that. I'm absolutely taking that, Richard. You've got Ange is doing the Ladies in Red show, which is every Thursday, I believe, Richard.
Yes, every Thursday. When the season, when the matches are playing, when there's a break, we don't record. That makes it easier on Ange.
Yeah,
so.
And then on a Wednesday we've got shots fired as well, Richard.
Most Wednesdays. We might that might change. Because we got to look at people are going back to work, and we got to we may have to reschedule that, but we will get it out on a Wednesday, but it might not be live.
There's going to be as we say, people. There's going to be like reactions to Arsenal games. They're getting played every 3 days. We're having to like change things up a bit because of the amount of schedule, and I think Arsenal played 9 games in January. And that's after the crazy fixture list of Christmas. I mean, it's incredible. So, so let's dive into it. Aston Villa, Richard, first and foremost, confident?
In my predictions for the shots fired, I've got us down on a 3-1 winning.
I would have that any day of the week, Richard, honestly.
I've gone 2-0 at half-time. Villa to pull it one back, make it a little edgy, and then us to finish it off in the last 20 minutes or so.
You know what, Richard? I actually agree with the 3-1 scoreline, and I actually think if you remember back to the Man United game at the Emirates a couple of seasons back, where we beat them 3-1, Jesus scored a very late goal. I think that was a couple of years ago, and Jesus scored a very late goal, and the scoreline looked like it was a comfortable win for Arsenal. But it was anything but. It was like we scored right at the very end. I think Vieira put the ball through for Jesus and he skinned the defender and then just slotted it home. I'm expecting that kind of game for tonight, mate. But I'll take 3-1 every day of the week. I mean, that's absolutely perfect. So, Richard, I want to get your feelings and your how you're feeling about the lineup. Are you expecting massive changes or? Do you want to start with?
There's a couple, isn't there? Three changes that will possibly 4, because there's news that Royce is out with a knock to the knee.
I hope that's not true.
It's on X, so I don't know how true it is. I haven't seen any official confirmation, but a lot of these X accounts go to the hotel where they walk, and it is a possibility. It could be just a smoke screen, but won't know until later, will we? Till 7:15.
Hopefully that's hopefully he does make it. So do you want to run through your predicted 11, mate?
Yeah, so Raya, Timber if he's fit. Otherwise, I'd have been having Royce there. If Royce isn't there, I think you're looking at Marley Salmon, because or Norgard. Then you're going Saliba, Gabriel, and it's a choice between Calafiori and Hincapi. I'd play Calafiori if he's fit. If not, Hincapi.
That's a good call.
Just because of Morgan Rogers.
Yeah. No, that's a good call. In the midfield?
In the midfield, it's Zubimendi. If Royce is fit, it's Royce, and I'm going Odegaard as a 10, but I'm going double pivot.
Okay.
And there's a reason for that we'll get into later. But that's my midfield 3. If Royce isn't fit, it's got to be Marino, hasn't it? He's the one with the physicality over it. Ezra's not got the physical attributes that Royce. And I don't think Norgard and Zubimendi will work. I think that's too defensive for my liking.
Yeah, no, I do you know what I would absolutely agree. I think that it would be too defensive and we'll not set up that way. But I can see if Rice doesn't make it, has to be Mourinho in the 8, and I think he had a very good game at the weekend, to be honest. There, personally, so. Yeah, but hopefully Declan does make it. What about your front 3, Richard? Who are you picking?
Right, so I'm looking to worry Aston Villa going the other way. So I'm going Martinelli. I'm going Saka, and it was a real hard choice, but I'm going Gyökeres because Lindelof is playing, and he's probably the weak link in that defence. He switches off, especially for near post runs and at set pieces on that near post. I'd fancy Gyökeres, just to keep him occupied and maybe target Lindelof over Konza.
Yeah, I would agree totally, Richard. I mean, first of all, I hope that Timber is 100% definitely back. I believe that, like, what I've heard is that he was rested at the weekend because he's playing a game every 3 days, and
Yeah.
it's like so he's probably
It was a
hitting
minor
that,
knock. Yeah, it was a
yeah,
minor
it's
knock,
meant,
and no risks were being taken, which is sensible.
yeah. That is when you're playing every 3 days. So I agree with the whole entire lineup. I don't see MLS coming in. If it's not Calafiori, I would go with Hincapié as well. Gabriel hopefully does have 90 minutes in the legs. And I would definitely go for that back line that's needed. This is a big game. Villa are on the back of 11 straight wins, mate. It's the best that they've done in 111 years or something. It's crazy. The interesting one, the Odegaard, I don't think it's a debate. Odegaard had his best game that I've seen probably him for like nearly 2 seasons, mate, in my opinion, at the weekend. I thought he was outstanding. I gave him man of the match. So for me, it's obvious that he comes in and just continues with that. So I wouldn't risk putting Eze on instead of Odegaard. The interesting one, and like I'm going to go to Gyökeres. Gyökeres at the weekend, and I noticed this, Richard, because I started watching the game a bit the way that you do, rather than like just follow the ball. You're actually looking at what's happening across the pitch, and you're looking at a lot more to analyse it. And what I saw was Saka was one-on-one with his defender, and he was cooking him. And then on the left-hand side, your Trossard, he was one-on-one with his defender, and he was cooking him. And it was because they were one-on-one, and that was because of Gyökeres in the middle for me, Richard. Gyökeres was pulling these defenders in. They knew that they couldn't go one-on-one with Gyökeres. So it was freeing up the spaces at the weekend. But I just want to go back to your lineup, because I thought Trossard was outstanding at the weekend. So I'm a bit surprised that you went for Martinelli rather than Trossard.
Well,
any main reason behind that, mate?
Yeah, it's literally to keep because Matty Cash is out. Bogard it'll be either Bogard or Garcia on that right hand side, and I think it'll be Bogard. And I want him and Rodgers going it that way rather than coming this way. And Martinelli's work ethic going backwards as well is tremendous. So I want him to be causing concern going forward, but also knowing that he's got that ability to get down the other side of the picture and put it in a defensive stint.
Would it matter to you then on that if Calafiori, say Calafiori starts instead of Hincapié at left back, would that change your narrative of your left winger at all, or is like
not too much, but what Hincapié, if it was Hincapié, what Hincapié offers is the option of Martinelli going inside, and that might pull Konza over and leave a bigger gap in the middle for Gyökeres to play around with. So
that's an amazing point. That's an amazing point, actually, Richard. I like that.
Yeah, but with Calafiori's your he's the one that's going to go all over the pitch, and if that's the case, he can help overload that midfield for us, because they love what Villa do is they bring in whoever they bring in Rodgers and McGinn to the middle, and their fullbacks sort of come in and they condense the middle of the space. So all our space, and the way we don't play through them, we play around them. We go down the wings and cut the ball back into the boxes, and that I think we'll get a lot of joy in that area.
Yeah, no, I see what you're thinking, Richard. It's like it's interesting. I'm just kind of wondering now, because initially I would have had 100% Calafiori starting at left back, but I'm actually wondering if it would be better for Arsenal tonight if Hincapié starts even ahead of Calafiori, even if he's fit.
Yeah, I'm also looking that we've got Bournemouth in a couple of days. we and Calafiori might be better off against Bournemouth with Trossard, because Trossard's a more intelligent player. And he'll exploit Bournemouth's backline better than Martinelli, because I don't think Bournemouth will play with such a high line. Villa won't play with a high line in the first half, but in the second half, they switch up their tactics. Emery tends to sit there, soak up the pressure, hope they don't concede a goal. But if they do concede a goal, he changes it at a half time or just afterwards, and they change. They then go and score goals and are more attacking. And I think that's an area where if we can get in a couple early goals, it forces him into that. And with Martinelli and Saka and Gyökeres on the pitch, sitting back for us, and then hitting them when they're coming forward onto us, if we get the balls right and we've got the courage and the quality to do it, we can go on and score more goals that way.
No, 100%, Richard, and I totally see it. I would like to say, could you give me who is a threat from Aston Villa, but we know who it is, and Morgan Rogers. How do we contain him? He's on fire at the moment.
Well, there's what I would be doing is block the passing lines off to him. Right. Make them go over to Watkins and go over to Timber's side and go that way. What you don't want is it to be Tielemans to Rodgers, boom. Because the thing is Rodgers has got a fantastic shot on him, but if he's running at defenders as well, he is a decent player. For me, if I was looking for a midfield addition, he offers us something we might not have in our midfield.
I would take him in a heartbeat, mate. I would honestly take him in an absolute heartbeat. He is that player in the Premier League right now that I would love to see in an Arsenal shirt. Would you ever, I know that it's never been Arteta's style, but would you be tempted to man-mark him?
You could do, but then you're asking, you've got to be confident in the player marking him, doing that job perfectly. And that, I mean, it would probably be Rice, wouldn't it? Or in that position, So, or you're asking Gabby to do it, and then you're taking a defender out of the game. But I think you don't worry about man marking him, but you try and stop any ball into him, because if they're playing if they have to play a ball over the top. I think Gabby and Saliba deal with that all day long. But I don't think he beats them in a foot race and a one-on-one battle. But if he's got the ball, if he gets the ball, turns, and he can run, he that puts us under risk and leaves us exposed. We've either got to try and keep backing off and slowing down, which opens up that chance that he unleashes one of those thunderbolts, or he just goes past the player and puts the ball into a dangerous area or scores from inside the box. You want to be able to stop him being the main threat, because I don't think if you cut him, you cut their main source of balls and threats in, because Watkins won't get the service then, because I think our right side is really strong, and a lot of our goals are conceded coming off that sort of off that left side.
Yeah. No, I totally get that, Richard, and like it's really well put. So, yeah, we just have to cut off the source, and then that's it. Now, Richard, Arteta's done the press conference going into this game, and much to my surprise, and I'm pretty sure most Arsenal fans' surprise, is that Arsenal will actively be looking if the right opportunity arises in the transfer window. Now, me and you have absolutely disagreed on this, which is all good. It's fair enough. I think that Arsenal would like to go for a 25-man squad. Currently, we have 2 players dropping off the bench when everybody's fit because we can't get them onto the bench in our lineup. So, is there a world that you see Arsenal either remaining with the 25-man squad and selling players, then bringing a player in, or can you see with the busy schedule, are we looking to increase our squad to, say, a 30-man squad?
I mean, both could work. Personally, if it was me, just for a few months, I'd go to a 30-man squad. But because we operate a self-sustaining model, I think it'll be 1 in, 1 out.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's the beauty of it. But Berta's the one who's got to pull this off, and we are in a position of strength at the moment. We're 2 points clear at the top of the table. We could be going into the January window 2 points clear of City, 6 points clear of Villa, and City are getting Semenyo. They're also looking at a defender. Mm-hmm. You can't sit by and do nothing. You've got to strengthen as well.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you, and I think that you're right. I never looked at it from the aspect of like a few months, and you're absolutely right. If we sign a player or a couple of players in January, we could offload in summer some of our players and reduce the squad back down. So you're right, it's only a couple of months. Is there any names in particular, Richard, that you would want apart from Rodrigo from Real Madrid and Morgan Rogers from Aston Villa, obviously? Because obviously,
I mean, those two are high on the list. Yildiz of Juventus,
right?
You could be. I mean, if I was looking at Rogers, I could be really ruthless and get rid of Marino, which would be ruthless. But when you balance the squad out that way. But I'm also looking at my right back situation. Mm-hmm. Is there a right back out there? And I think there's one from Ron's in France. He's young, but he's a fullback. Could we get him in if White is and Mascara are a lot longer term injuries than they currently are, just to give us that depth in cover? Because our only other options, and Timber and Rice, is Marley Salmon, 17 years old. He did fantastic in the pre-season and in his cameo the other week. But to expect him to go 6-7 games in the Premier League season and be perfect in every one when you're going for a title is a big ask. So I'd rather go and get something that's got experience at playing at the at first team level and has the prerequisite skills and abilities that we've identified.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, Richard, because one of the things that, like, I saw and what happened was we're playing games every three days, and Timber had a slight injury. And because Timber had a slight injury, Ben White had just came back from injury, and he played 4 games on the bounce every 3 days. So it's no wonder he broke down again. And we were kind of forced into that situation. So for me, if Ben is going to be out for a bit longer, I would agree with the right back completely. The last thing I want to see is Timber coming back and having to play every single game. And he breaks down. And it seems to be that's kind of what's happened with our defence. We're not getting the guys back, so they're playing constantly.
Yeah.
And we're not able to rotate them, Richard. So, a young, decent right back would be perfect for the squad.
Yeah, you look at Mascara's. His injury was where he's gone for an aerial challenge. He's landed awkwardly, got injured, but that's immediately put pressure on Timber and White. And they've gone down then due to workload, and that can't be helped. That you say, well, you don't. You ease a workload, but the player that would have eased that workload, Mascara, isn't available because of an unlucky coming down on his ankle, unluckily, an awkward landing, which can't be helped. So it's a little bit of misfortune. You take the ones to Odegaard earlier in the season, falls on his shoulder again. Same shoulder again. So some of the injuries can't be helped. So some of them, the workload ones, you've got to look at and say, are there ways Arteta can manage a squad better? But as I said, in the right back position, he didn't have much choice. And look what he did. He had to rest Timber because Timber had a knock in the Brighton game, and he played Rice there. So he is sort of thinking around the situation and sorting it and problem solving. It's just ideally you want a fit squad to choose from.
Yeah, no, 100%, Richard. Just before we close off, because I'm mindful that you're like about to get probably about a 20-minute break and then you're back on for 3 hours. Is there any other position like in the side that you think needs an upgrade, or you would bring someone in?
Yeah, I'd go. If I'm brutally honest, I'd be. We're short of goals, and could we go and get a second or third choice striker? I don't care if we put noses out of joint with Havertz and Jesus. We need goals. If we want to win the title, we've got to be ruthless. And let's be honest, if Jesus plays 10 games sold in the summer and he's got he's got another Premier League title around his head, his value goes up.
Yeah, no.
Same with every player in that squad. If you get them the prerequisite 10 games, and that we win the title, if they're surplus to requirements, their value goes up because they're Premier League winners. So you may just have to be ruthless, and it's a horrible thing to do, but that's what winners do.
No, 100%, Richard.
They sell when they have to, and we're in a position where we could win the league title. We don't want to be left saying, "What if?"
No, 100%. I agree.
Not this season.
Yeah, 100%. I think that we do have to be ruthless and to be champions, and that's just part of the game. Richard, we've been going for half an hour. I'm mindful that you're back in about 20 minutes' time for the watch along. So, guys, you have been watching in the North Bank. As said, Richard and Des are back at 8 o'clock for the live watch along to Aston Villa. Tomorrow, I'll be dropping something like a reaction show on the Ashburton Grove. At some point tomorrow, that'll be coming out. And the show's just planned all week. So, guys, please like, subscribe, put that bell notification on, because seriously, the content is just piling out. With Arsenal playing every 3 days, and they're either previews getting done, as we said, the watch alongs to reaction shows, shots fired, ladies in red. Then we've got the big Sunday quiz as well. There is a lot of content coming out. So please do like, subscribe, and get that bell notification on. Richard, it's always a pleasure to speak to you.
Been a pleasure, mate. Thank you.
And enjoy your watch along tonight. And I'll certainly get into the chat, but we'll let your voice calm down have a bit of a break before your live, mate. So we'll
we'll have a little snooze.
Yeah, have a little snooze, bro. So come on, you Gunners. Massive game. Let's do this. Thanks, guys.